T-Mac is one of the biggest what-ifs in NBA history who showed major promise entering the prime of his career. He was in the same conversation as caliber of players like Kobe Bryant during the early 2000s, but his prime was cut short due to injuries. His own body prevented him from a chance at a ring, but today that is all changing.
With the 6th pick in the 2023 NBA Draft, the Orlando Magic select
Tracy McGrady from Mount Zion Christian Academy.
T-Mac's career is beginning in 2024 in this reality, and he'll be playing out this career injury-free with the goal of earning the championship trophy that eluded him in our reality. But that goal was gonna have to wait, because even with McGrady being one of the best rookies, the Magic were far from making the playoffs in 2024. Nevertheless, the season wasn't a total waste, as it allowed Tracy to get his feet wet in the NBA. In just his first year, he was already being recognized as an elite two-way player, as he was selected for a spot on the all-defensive second team. And even though he was the 4th option on his team offensively, he was still finding ways to fit into the flow and maximize his opportunities within his role. His team may have failed this season, but it was an exciting time to be a Magic fan in anticipation of what was to come for T-Mac. As we head into his second season, the enthusiasm was growing even more after reports of the gruesome training regimen he put himself through during the off-season. For hours upon hours, he grinded out drills to work on his offensive game in hopes it would pay off for the Magic. T-Mac just practiced more in this one off-season than Iverson did his whole career. I think we are in for a treat this following season. And very quickly, it sure was looking like things were paying off for our young protagonist. He was taking the league by storm with his flashy style of play, and all it took was one shot to give him a massive confidence boost mid-season.
Down to 5, down to 4, McGrady for the win! Yes!
Following that huge game winner, McGrady was playing with a newfound swagger for the rest of the season. His style of play was fitting in incredibly well with the offensive-oriented modern NBA. Of course, we would see his scoring abilities be showcased, but even his skills as a playmaker were shining in the sophomore season. Him helping his teammates get involved was a giant boost for Orlando that would lead to a very notable improvement in the team's record, and that wasn't the only improvement this season. We had McGrady's first official piece of hardware, a most improved player, 9 more points per game from last season, an extra rebound and assist, some really good efficiency. He's starting to blossom into an all-star very quickly, and we're going to get to see him in his first NBA playoffs. McGrady's playoff debut was happening in Cleveland, and he had confidence his team could win. And apparently, Tracy wasn't the only one who had faith in Orlando, because after they played their hearts out on the road in Game 1, they'd go on to win the match, and media coverage was all over the underdog story in Orlando. Spirits were exceptionally high following the win, but you can't count the Cavaliers and their stars quite so fast. Not only would Cleveland retaliate with a win in Game 2, but they go into Orlando and win Game 3, continue their high level of play with another win in Game 4, and complete the gentleman's sweep of Orlando in Game 5. McGrady and the Magic were quickly deflated, and the fans were fast to let them hear it prior to the start of the 2026 season. In the following year, McGrady was taking another major leap and elevating his game to the next level. His stats would once again rise above the prior season as he keeps impressing the world with his seemingly endless potential. The league would take full notice of his play this season, and he was selected for his first All-Star appearance. While things were great for him, they weren't so great for the Magic. Franz Wagner left for the Wizards in free agency. Well, his career's fucked on the Wizards. And additionally, Suggs also moved on to join the Chicago Bulls. Now the duo of Banchero and T-Mac lost some of their supporting cast, and in result, they narrowly missed the playoffs this season after losing in the first round of the play-in to the Hornets. The Magic lose by 2 in a very low-scoring game, but I think the biggest issue is T-Mac. 2 for 12 from the field, only 6 points in such an important game is a big letdown. T-Mac was crushed after the loss, but as you can imagine, it was even worse with the fans absolutely letting him have it on social media. Come 2027, McGrady was having another strong regular season, but now, 4 years into his career, that was to be expected, and what would really matter was his playoff success. Luckily this year, Orlando got back into winning, and their record was enough for home court advantage in round 1. But unfortunately, his matchup was Embiid and the Sixers, who were coming off a ring 2 years ago and just barely lost out in the repeat versus OKC last season. And now Tracy's attempts to win his first playoff series were certainly going to be put to the test. During this series, he would go on to average some fantastic playoff numbers for a player as young as he was, and you'd think he'd be putting the league on notice with his play, but it would actually be the exact opposite. With the Magic lacking a decent center, Embiid was annihilating Orlando, and yet again, T-Mac was losing after only 5 games, and this trend of losing was getting some not so positive attention. The next offseason was another one filled with training in an attempt to take that next jump. The goal was to improve offensively enough to carry his team, because McGrady was sick of falling short and was determined to start winning. In an attempt to help T-Mac win, the Magic added Mitchell Robinson this season. They realized their lack of a starting center after facing Embiid, and this would be their solution. Now that Orlando had Robinson anchored the defense in the paint, paired with another jump in McGrady's offensive game, the Magic fans will witness one hell of a season, and that's because T-Mac led this team to their best record in their franchise history. And in honor of helping his team set the franchise record, he's got an MVP. Nothing too crazy on these stats, as he is sharing the ball with Ron Holland and Banchero, but 55% from the field, 99% from the free throw, 41% from the three. He's incredibly efficient. He was the primary guy on his team. He gets an MVP that he was never able to do in our reality. Next, we need to see him get a ring in this reality. Surely this had to be the year he finally wins a series, right? The answer was a resounding yes, as he would do more than just win the series. He'd command respect of everyone on the court and establish himself as the best player in this series on his way to a dominant sweep of the Raptors. And am I the only one that thinks it's a little bit ironic that he beat his OG team, the Raptors, from our reality to get his first playoff win? And we'd have another memorable opponent in round 2 for a rematch against Embiid. This was exactly what Robinson was brought in for, but as you could probably think, Joel was still dominating the game. On the bright side though for Orlando, the other major change was McGrady, who was now playing well enough to earn an MVP. With Robinson doing his part to slow Embiid down as much as possible, and with T-Mac leading the way, Philly would fall after just 5 games, and now all of a sudden T-Mac went from no playoff wins to 2, and while he and his teammates would celebrate, they needed to focus until the job is done. But with the 7th-seeded Pistons waiting for them, it seemed all but guaranteed the Magic would have a trip to the playoffs. Detroit's main player was Cade Cunningham, who after years of rebuilding with the Pistons was finally experiencing some winning. To go along with Cade, they also had Asor Thompson, who by now has developed into an all-star player himself. Still though, the tandem of T-Mac and Paolo should be way better. But the key word would be should, because this conference finals was a bloodbath for Orlando. Cade seemed unstoppable, and nothing McGrady was retaliating with was slowing down the Pistons. McGrady was going to be leaving this season disappointed after being swept in the conference finals. I think it's great that T-Mac finally made some progress here in the playoffs. Conference finals, losing there, that's not terrible. It could be a lot worse, but I was not expecting him to go out like this in 4 games to the Detroit Pistons of all teams. But after that letdown, T-Mac was coming out swinging to start the next season. It was clear that McGrady was making a statement, how dedicated he was to improving and winning, because during the season opener against the Bulls, McGrady was setting a new career high of 61 points, and for once, instead of being called a bust, he was receiving some high praise.
This brother is something special.
Yes,
He is something special. He brings out the dog in the rest of their team. Let me tell you something right now. He is rapidly evolving into my favorite player in the NBA.
However, we've been seeing T-Mac have success in the regular season for a while. What we all really want to know is if he can finish the job and win a ring. We'd have another chance to find out with T-Mac back in the playoffs again versus the Pacers. McGrady concluded the regular season with another MVP, and Indiana wasn't tooled to stop the best player in ball. After the long 7-game series versus the Pacers, the Cavaliers were waiting in round 2. This was expected to be another gritty matchup against a solid Cleveland team, but surprisingly, Orlando came out on top after 4. But the conference finals will be a whole lot harder against a fully loaded Miami Heat team eager to win. The Miami Heat this year are no joke at all. They have Cooper Flag, an up-and-coming star. They have Bam Adebayo. They got Tyler Hero, Jalen Duren, no Jimmy Butler anymore, but this team is the real deal. They even have a loaded out bench. This is going to be a tough matchup for Tracy McGrady. The battle for Florida was kicking off here in Orlando. With his home fans backing him, Tracy McGrady was able to get his team out of the gates first, where they win, but the second game in Orlando, the tides would shift. Miami was hot this time around and would respond to the game 1 loss just as they hoped, and now this series was tied up prior to heading into Miami. These matches on the road would echo the same outcome as the ones at home. These 2 teams were trading matches again, with the series still in a total stalemate after 4 games. The trend of the series being back and forth wasn't stopping there either, with game 5 and 6 also swaying both ways, and now we'd be locked in for a critical final match. And now just 1 win away from the finals, how will McGrady respond to the adversity? He's had so many ups and downs in his career up until this moment, so many losses and failures, only to come back stronger each and every time. Now is his chance to prove the haters wrong, but it was all going to be determined based on the final moments that this match was just as close as the series. We're in this game 7 right now. T-Mac and the Magic are down by 3. The shot clock's messed up. It's 30 seconds instead of 24. I have to change that next season. Hopefully that should not make too much of a difference here. T-Mac has, though, at the top versus Tyler Hero. Tyler Hero is not a great defender. T-Mac drives right by him, dunks over the little boy. On the other end, now Miami's only up by 1. Cooper Flag with the ball. Whoever wins this game is getting a trip to the NBA Finals. T-Mac has a legacy of not being able to compete in the playoffs, and he has a chance to make it to the finals now. Cooper Flag, the screen from Bam Adebayo. Cooper Flag going all the way. His lay is good. In our reality, T-Mac has one of the most clutch games of all time, the 13 points versus the Spurs in 33 seconds. Can he get it done here versus the Miami Heat when it matters the most? Game 7 of the NBA Eastern Conference Finals. T-Mac with it. Tyler Hero on him. 24 seconds left on the shot clock. He's getting the screen. T-Mac making his move. He had a three. He kicks it down low to Dunga. His lay is good. They're going to have to play the foul game here versus Miami. Miami's not using a timeout. 25 seconds left in the game. Marcus Smart's fouling. They fouled again. They weren't in the bonus. Cooper Flag went to the line. He split the free throw. So now the Magic are only down by 2. They can tie with a 2 here. Tracy McGrady, Hero guarding him again. Another possession. 3 in a row. T-Mac has executed here in the clutch. He's getting the screen from Bencaro. T-Mac driving it in. He kicks down low. That's a beautiful pick and roll. It's a tied ball game. McGrady is absolutely trusting his teammates in the clutch here. Miami still has time. This match is not over. It's a tie game. Cooper Flag with it. Dylan Brooks guarding him. 5 seconds left on the clock. Cooper Flag one-on-one. He wants this ISO. Cooper nowhere to go. The deep 3. It's off. We're headed to overtime. This overtime is still close in the final moments. 45 seconds remaining. The Miami Heat are up by 1, but Orlando has the ball here with a chance to take the lead. They kick it over to Marcus Smart. Keep in mind, there's that 30-second shot clock right now that could come into play here. Dylan Brooks has it. He was wide open. He didn't take it. You do not want Brooks in a clutch. That is insane. That is insane. D-Mac's legacy is just getting sold right before our eyes. Cooper Flag ends up splitting his free throws again. He's only 23 years old. The pressure could be getting to him in this monumentous moment here for a trip to the NBA Finals. Dylan Brooks trying to get the ball inbound. They get it to T-Mac. Down by 2. Can McGrady get it done again here in overtime? Tyler Hero on him. T-Mac getting the screen. Is going to be another pick and roll, a kickoff. No, he's going all the way. Oh my God. The explosiveness out of that hezzy was ridiculous to get to the paint and go for another dunk. We're tied again. This one is down to the wire. Cooper Flag has it now. They could not get it done in regulation. They have a chance here in overtime though. Now Flag's taking Dylan Brooks into the post. The smaller Dylan Brooks on him. 10 seconds left. Is it another ISO or are we getting some screen work going? It's looking like it's about the same play. No, here's the screen from Bam Adebayo. Cooper Flag. He's created space. The pull-up. It's off. Oh my God, that was a good look. We're going to double overtime. And in double overtime with the Heat up by 5 with 2 free throws waiting them, it's looking like it's too little too late for the Atlanta Magic. And this is devastating. On your home court, the home fans here, double OT. They can't get it done. And Tracy McGrady again is coming up short in the playoffs. He cannot get into those finals. It was back to the drawing board for T-Mac and the Magic going into 2030. There wasn't any notable changes to the team since last season, and T-Mac was also crowned MVP again. So it would be all much the same, with hopes that this year they can execute better in those final minutes. They were back in the conference finals again, and this time it was against the Bulls, who were led by Scoot Henderson. This Bulls team wasn't as deep as the Miami team that they faced the year prior. This was by far going to be the best chance McGrady has to make it to the finals, and the world will be waiting to see if he can execute. The conference final series was the best play we've seen from McGrady to date. He was putting up impressive performances every game, but it was still going the distance all the way to Game 7. After experiencing the disappointment a year ago in Game 7 and a chance to make it to the finals, T-Mac was absolutely not going to let this one slip through his fingers this year. He and the Magic would blow out Chicago in the Game 7, and now they finally have earned a trip to the finals. But that trip to the finals was meeting a major challenge. There was excitement and aura surrounding T-Mac's finals debut, but things weren't going to go as planned. The two-way tandem LKC had with SGA and Shet was nearly unstoppable. Their pick and roll got a basket more often than not, and surrounding them with willing shooters gave them a very formidable offense. This Thunder team had multiple championships in recent years, and for good reason. It was clear how dominant they were, and it would be the bane of Orlando's season. McGrady may have overcome the East, but now he seemed to have reached his peak amidst another hurdle in the finals. Finally made it to the finals, but this Thunder team is the real deal. I don't know if T-Mac's gonna get by him. He might not get a championship in this simulation. His one goal, he honestly might not be able to accomplish. We'll see if he can get back here in 2031. In that offseason, the only move made was signing Lonzo Ball over re-signing Marcus Smart. At his age, after all the injuries, he was far from a star, but his playmaking and defense were worth mentioning and assisting T-Mac in his quest. After maintaining the East top record yet again, the Magic were running through the playoffs in the first 3 rounds, just like last year, to make it back to the top of the mountain again. Once more, it was a matchup versus the Thunder, who still had about the same team as last year. Except this year, the entire Magic team was playing like a team possessed. It seemed like they simply refused to lose. Every player on the team was on fire, and they were trusting each other every single trip. This time around, the finals matchup would differ drastically from the previous one. T-Mac was so close that he could almost taste it. With the lead late in Game 6, up 3-2 in the series, the Magic were finally doing it. McGrady was completing his goal and doing what he couldn't do in our reality. He was becoming an NBA champion finally. We just witnessed T-Mac accomplish it all, but what could Jordan accomplish if he never played with Pippen? Find out by clicking this video next.